Princeton High School is a public school located in Princeton, New Jersey, United States.
This high school is known for its high academic standards, and it's been ranked amongst the top high schools in the state.
So, do all PHS students think the same?
We invited 15 PHS students to see the range of their beliefs and values. PHS is a competitive school.
Basically, I moved here last year from like a different school, and compared to that school, PHS is like really competitive, especially academically. It's more so between each other. You compare yourself because everyone's always comparing themselves to other people. We all like expect a lot from like each other and ourselves. So that's what makes it like competitive.
Well, I also chose strongly agree. And like Christina, actually been to ninth school since first grade. So I've been to different school, and PHS is definitely one of the more competitive one. I think it's mainly also because the school offers a lot more rigorous courses. So it's like you have the opportunity to be competitive, whereas in some of the other schools I've been to, the people are competitive, but they don't really have the opportunity to take like all the AP classes. So I think like the classes offered here is also what contribute to the competitive.
It depends on the student himself or herself. Like if you want to be competitive, yeah, it is a competitive school, but then if you don't want to try hard, no one would force you to try hard.
I also moved in. Last year was my first year at PHS. I feel like just in general, so moving from North Carolina to PHS actually made me, at least myself, less competitive. I feel like I talk less about my grades, my academic achievements here than I did back. But that could just be because I grew up around the people I did. So then it's like this natural tendency to be competitive versus here, like I don't really know what to say to people because like the courses don't compare. The is a lot of like clubs aren't the same here. So I guess that's just like why I thought I said somewhat agree, because there are a lot of people here and you do feel like you're in this environment of you strive to be better and you try to be better, but it's not putting so much pressure on you that you're like, oh, I'm constantly in competition with other people. And especially because the people here, they work hard when you're not around. So at least I don't see it. So I don't think that it's so competitive, at least straight out.
I prefer online school over physical school.
I really hate online school because
Same.
like, okay, first of all, they're only doing block days every single day of the week. So you only meet with your class twice a week for 2 hours a week. And normally you meet with your class for like almost an hour a day for 5 days a week. So that's like 5 hours compared to now there's only 2 hours. It's just not as fair. And you don't have as many like resources as you do because you could ask people in school for stuff. I get it, you could text, but that's just not the same. And also, like if you have any issues in school and you have like a question, it's like I feel like it's scarier to ask your teacher, especially since you have to like unmute yourself and then disrupt the entire class. When in school you could just like go in for help during lunch and stuff. So it puts students at like a disadvantage, I feel like, because it's harder for us to learn the same material in like short amount of time.
I mean, for me, like at the start, so like at the end of last semester, I actually kind of liked it, but like as time went on, like I started really hating it because I mean, I get like it's a lot nicer to like work at home and like do a lot of things at more of your own pace, but I feel like back when we were in person, like fully in person, like I learned a lot more than what I'm learning now.
I definitely feel like it's a lot more learning by yourself rather than someone teaching it to you, which is why like people like go at their own pace. But I personally think that's kind of helpful because in class, like the teacher will go at their own pace and it's not customized to everyone, like what everyone wants to do. And additionally, like online school has made things a lot less stressful, and like I'm also getting more sleep. Like last year I was getting like 6 hours of sleep on average per night, and it was like really hard for me to learn if I just wanted to sleep in class and like had headaches from not sleeping enough. And I feel like like at home, and it's more relaxed, a lot less stressful, and it's easier to learn mentally.
Yeah, and then I think for me as a senior, online I chose agree. So online school like give me much more time to like write those essays and research for schools compared to when we're in person, since the school day is a lot shorter compared to before.
So I said somewhat agree because I feel like as seniors, it's kind of good to have online school because right now we can balance college application versus like actually going to school. But I do think that a continuous online school wouldn't be a good choice because I think it's still important for school to be like a socialized environment where you can meet people, talk to other people, see what everyone else is doing. It's not only just like a learning material experience, it should also be like a learning like how to social kind of experience. So
I feel like I need to dress up for school.
So for physical school, I definitely like I don't really think I dress up, but then like I still kind of like plan my outfit a little bit because like you wouldn't want to look horrible for school. But then for online school, I definitely don't dress up at all. And like I'm literally in sweatpants and like maybe I'll put a nice shirt on, but that's it. Or I just wear my pajamas for school.
Yeah, when I go to school, like actual school, I do feel the need to dress up. I guess it's part of it. I mean, sometimes I do just like go to school in pajamas, but like I have to like somehow make myself feel nice. And but for virtual school, it's actually like really different for me. Like I don't care much at all.
I feel like for in-person school, I definitely feel the need to like at least dress up and like look presentable. Like I wake up like what 20 or 30 minutes earlier before I leave the house just to like get ready. But now I like wake up 2 minutes before my Zoom call starts. Like online school, I just don't put in any effort at all. And most of the time, I don't even turn on my camera because like I don't want to.
I feel like it depends on like each person. Like PHS itself, I feel like the environment isn't like sort of like everyone dressed up kind of environment. Like you can definitely bum it if you just like go show up in school in sweatpants and sweatshirts. But I think for me, like freshman year and sophomore year, I definitely tried way too hard to dress up. But then by the time you're junior, you're like, oh my gosh, you got all those things to do. Like who cares about your outfit, you know? So
I mean, personally, I've never really cared how, like, as long as it's like presentable, like, it's not like if I go to school, people will be staring at me like, why is he wearing that? Like, my standard is just as long as it's comfortable, I'll wear it to school. I really don't care.
I think I double on that idea. I wear like very predictable clothes to school because it's the same thing, just like a different pattern or a different color to school every single day. And I feel like, I mean, back in North Carolina, there was a lot stricter dress code. So like, I mean, I'll go into the mirror every morning just to see if it's according to dress code, which it 99% of the time is. But now I just like, I mean, I live like a short walking distance from school. So I probably wake up, I'm going to say like 20 minutes before bell ring. And that's the amount of time I have walking, dressing up, eating breakfast, and like getting everything set. So I just go in the closet, hop out a minute later, and then go to school. And I don't feel like pressure to wear presentable clothes. So sometimes I just wear whatever. I feel like it's just like really personal and it's about what you hold yourself accountable to. And I just don't hold myself accountable to making myself dress nice in front of people. I think that's just too extra.
I get what you mean by that, and like honestly, like being comfortable is what I mostly care. I just wear like a sweatshirt to school and stuff. But I feel like some people feel obligated to like dress up and stuff because they're trying to like, I don't know, fit in with a crowd or like impress someone or something. But then like the thing at PHS is PHS doesn't have a dress code, you know? So like people can just wear whatever the heck they want. And I feel like that's really nice that PHS doesn't have one because then you could really like do whatever you want and dress however you want.
I see my friends as competition.
I agree. And I think for me, I do see my friends as competition, but then sometimes more like a good competition in a way. So if I see my friends is like taking the harder classes, I'll be like, oh, maybe I should try it too. But then I wouldn't want them to not do well in the class. I would want like both of us to do well together. So then it's like competition, but also a motivation in a way. But then sometimes like I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just my parents, but like sometimes parents do like kind of compare you to your friends, and that just kind of adds on to the pressure, especially for me when I'm being compared to like my friends who's supposed to be kind of a place where you go to relieve stress. So then that's why I agreed.
Like, I don't think it's necessarily just like a friend specific thing. I said somewhat agree. It's because like even if like no one at PHS was my friend, like I would see them as competition, because it's just like we're all in high school. It's like high school is inherently competitive. Like we're going to be competing with these people, but it's not the kind of competition that I would like try to like purposely bring like other people down or bring my friends down just to make myself look better in the terms of the competition. Like even if I do see my friends as competition, that doesn't mean that like Rose said, I don't want them to do badly.
I said somewhat agree as well, because like the competition isn't really each other trying to compete with each other. It's more of like I see them as a standard of what I want to be, so that you like continually push each other to do better. So it's more of like a self motivation, I feel like, well, for me personally.
I do see my friends as competition in ways of like classes and like their outside activities and everything. But I also like support my friends and like whatever they do. But they act like as a motivation for me to improve myself. So I think that's really helpful.
For me, I sort of like, I don't see my friends as like competition in any way, because I sort of like rely on them to like, so like a lot of times during class, like if I don't really understand something, I'll like, the first thought would always be like to ask my friends. And like a lot of times, like for example, during English, I might like, we might compare like what we got from a reading and like things like that. So I've never really thought of friends as like something to like, as competition.
Yeah, I would agree with Sean, like thinking this entire high school process as like a mountain climbing competition. You guys need each other to help each other get up. And I think that's why cooperation is more than competition.
I choose classes based on my interests instead of what looks good on my college resume.
I do somewhat disagree, because I think, for example, like this year, I wanted to take this game design class that I saw, but then like my mom sort of persuaded me out of it, because she just said I could take it somewhere else. And so I ended up doing, oh, but I did, instead of taking AP statistic, which I think is the more generic class that a lot of people take, I ended up taking sociology, because that was what kind of fit my interest more. So it's like kind of, but not really. I still try to choose the like more harder classes based on what I'm interested in.
I said somewhat agree, because like right now, for me personally, it's more about finding out what I actually like and what I would be interested in doing in the future. So I'm kind of just choosing classes based on like more of a well-rounded kind of thing, but also something that would make my options be like more open and more options in the future. I was gonna take like psychology or something, but then I also want to be able to like find out if I'm like good at physics, because I don't want to choose one or the other, but then I know for a fact that I don't like Spanish. So I think my senior year I'm probably going to drop that and take psychology instead. So it's kind of an interest based, but then also it's more like I want to find out what I'm good at and what I want to do.
I also said somewhat disagree, like Rose, because I do think a bunch of the classes I choose to take are things that I'm interested in, but like what I'm interested in pursuing like career-wise or like college-wise or like sciencey stuff, right? But stuff like my hobbies, like I was literally making a list of the classes I wanted to like take next year, because there were like a bunch that I wanted to take but like might not necessarily fit my a schedule. But it's like stuff like art, I feel like is really fun, and I would want to take studio art next year. but I just don't know if I have the space for it, if I want to also take stuff like physics or like anatomy or something like that. And then I have to choose whether I go with like the interests or based on college. And usually I choose college because I can just pursue my interests like outside of school.
I would like completely agree with this statement because like apart from all the mandatory classes I have to take, I think I picked all the classes from my interest, and like haven't take like any like classes that I really hate, and but like look good.
I definitely like, for when I'm choosing like my electives, I definitely look at like how it'll look on the college application like in the resume and stuff. But like most of my interests generally like line up with like a pretty generic like resume. So like I'm pretty interested in like coding and stuff. So like I'm taking Python right now, which like is like a pretty good course to be on like a college resume. So
I strongly agree. It's because I believe in myself, I cannot do good unless I like the class. So it's also good for me to take something I interested in instead of something that looks good for my college resume.
I'm constantly sleep deprived.
I disagree. Like I have pretty constant sleep schedule, and I actually don't think there's that much work, especially like after online learning. Like even during application year, like I don't see like my workload being so huge that I have to like not sleep to finish them. There are a few days, but it's not constant.
You know, I do think that, so I said I agree that I am sleep deprived, but at the same time, I do think that a lot of the times it's not just a workload, especially during college app. I'm stressed out. I start to like stress about things, and then you have to get over that stress before you start working. And that takes some process. So after you get over the stress and start working, you be like, oh, I don't like this, and you delete it. And it's this constant process of like repeating, deleting, doing this, doing that, and getting distracted, everything together. That like, oh, you look at a clock and it's 1 o'clock, and shit, you have this assignment that you still haven't finished. So then you start working on it, and that's how I got sleep deprived.
The workload is making me sleep deprived, but for me personally, I get really easily distracted, and that's often why I don't do the work when I should be doing it. I just push it until like 12 o'clock in the morning. And honestly, it's more of my bad habit of just letting myself get distracted. So it's not really the workload.
Yeah, I agree with Christina. I think I get enough sleep, but I don't get it at the same time. So like usually I will like sleep for maybe like 2 hours, and then I start working again. So I start sleeping 2 hours after school, and I start working, and I'll sleep for like 4 hours before I actually wake up in the morning. So it sounds like I only have 4 hours of sleep. I actually have 6. So then it's like kind of confusing. I think I just have a mess up sleep schedule, I think.
I actually agree with Rose. That's like what I do too. Like it's like a recommendation for Amanda. Like if you are stressed, go sleep for like 2 hours and wake up, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's also what I do. I actually just woke up before joining this meeting, but I think that's why I said I totally disagree with that I'm sleep deprived. I feel like I am not sleep deprived. I just, because I am able, because especially now with virtual learning, I'm able to sleep at like anytime I want. Even during class, if the camera's not on, it might be snoozing off a little bit. But so I mean, it's very like in your own control. Like I am in the control of my sleep schedule, so I am not sleep deprived. But if I were probably in school, I probably would seem like I'm sleep deprived. But yeah.
I am somewhat agree because I think that's my own problem. I can just spend less time on phone, more time on homework, so I can sleep more. So it's still under my control, but I should like sleep more.
I agree. And a part of like me not getting enough sleep is just because I procrastinate and I get distracted. So
I procrastinate so hard. It's not even okay.
I feel comfortable chatting about personal problems with my teachers.
Well, for me, because like I'm new to PHS, so like I don't know any of my current teachers, but I know back when I was in the middle school, if I had any personal problems, I would have definitely gone. Like I would have been comfortable talking to a few of my teachers. So like that's what I'm basing it off on. But I don't know any of my like new teachers other than like how they teach. I don't know any of them like personally because we're not in school, so it's kind of hard to make that connection. So I couldn't say.
I feel like it depends a lot on the teacher themselves and like you're like if you like the teacher or not, if you're doing like sometimes it depends like if you're doing well or not. But I feel like um I could probably name like two like adults in the school that include like my guidance counselor that I might open up to them, but it really depends on the teacher.
Well, like for me, sometimes I do open up to like the really nice teachers that I have, but there are also times where I feel like I need to email the teacher just so I need to kind of like give a good impression of myself and not really just to like be friends with them. Um, so like I would say I kind of somewhat disagree because like I don't really consider myself constantly trying to be like actual friends with my teachers, but rather just giving a good impression of myself.
Okay, well, for me, I'm definitely not the type of person to go up to the teacher, so I disagreed on that. But then like I mean there is nice teacher, but I don't think I'll ever go to them for my personal problem.
Me, I said strongly disagree because sometimes I feel like it depends, but most time teachers don't have very personal connection with students. If you talk about personal issues, they just listen but not really care.
I agree with Rose. Just like there are obviously some nice teachers out there that I would be willing to confide in if I really had to. But usually when I have a personal problem, I'll go to like my friends or my parents. I don't really think of teachers as like my main confidant.